the miles and cars now, whichever get up. I start my card with a sweet one bliss. Someone flicks me a bag it up. So, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full strong, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Crossroads Review with myself, Eric, and Ricky. How you doing, Ricky?
Not bad, mate, not bad. You?
Yeah, I'm good. I'd like to say an exciting weekend of fights to review, but we know what it is. But we'll get into it just after the promo for D-Rock Clothing. And we're back. Hopefully, there's no interruptions tonight, but don't count on it. He's about to get out of bed in any minute now. I promise you.
We shall see. Listen, we like against the parents every now and again.
Nah, he's literally just got out of bed as well. She's crazy, but hey, it is what it is. But Ricky, yeah, the weekend of boxing. It was one of those weekends where it just didn't deliver like we expected to. We was looking forward to there's so many names on there. Honestly, I can't concentrate at this moment in time. I'm just honestly I can't concentrate because he's just woke up. I can only apologize. I'm just going to play this promo and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Right, get in bed.
Did well play a promo. Right, I don't know if he's back yet. Are you back? No, he's not back yet. So we'll just crack on. So yeah, we expected, some very big fights this weekend. The fight cards promised to deliver on paper. They looked like really good fights, in my opinion. The interesting part was Times Square, arena outside. How was that going to work? What was it going to look like? And from probably head to toe, it sort of looked like it failed to deliver. It's one of those where I kind of thought, maybe it being outdoors, there'd have been a bigger atmosphere. There might have been plenty of fans. I know I was kind of thinking, how would it be handled like with people passing by? Would the fans throw stuff? But, it seemed to sort of play out okay for like Turkey and all them, but like with the big fucking barriers and everything else. You're on mute, by the way, Eric. But all the barriers and everything else, it sort of drained the fans and it drained the fan base for that show. So I'm just talking about the Times Square arena.
Yeah, I heard you.
Something different, but didn't really plan out how they thought it would play out.
No, not at all. It was one of them shows where looking forward to it. You was like, oh, Times Square outside. Not fans can just pull up. They'll be able to watch the fight from the roadsides and whatnot. And it seemed like, I don't know whether Turkey and his team who he employed to do this show did the I can't even say the word.
Due diligence.
That's the one. There we go. Thanks for the help. I don't know whether they did, because it seems like at the 24th hour, as they're putting the rings up, as they're doing the build up for it, the New York Police Department just shut it all down, saying that they needed a barrier up, whether it was to protect the fighters, to protect the people that obviously that was sat ringside and whatnot. So they had this big red barrier up, which just didn't work out well. It didn't look good. So for me, it seemed like it was doomed from the get go as soon as fight day came, really, because the fights that followed just really didn't deliver.
No, and that I can't, like what we're discussing. I understand, like, it's nice to try something new, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and in this case, it didn't. Like a lot of fighters, especially the ones like ones that were on this card, rely quite heavily on support, atmosphere, fans, and it didn't really seem to have that, which is disappointing, especially when you've got Madison Square Garden like literally around the corner from that venue. So, hey, listen, they tried it. It didn't work. They know probably not to do it again in the near future.
Yeah, it's one of them where I think they probably will do it again. It's not a case of not doing it. I think it's just going to be more planned out. I think it's going to be more planned out. Yeah, the event itself, like you said, it was a lack of atmosphere, really. There was a lack of atmosphere. I don't know what it felt like there, but it seemed like a lack of atmosphere out there for the fighters. Even on TV, you can see when they pan the cameras down, when they were down the street, it looks good, but like ringside wise, it didn't look great for me.
No, and it was a stacked card as well. It was a card that deserved a big fan base and a big following there. So it's just one of those things. Like you said, they tried it and it didn't work out. But yeah, so I think we're ready to move on to the card, really. Just touching base on, we had the first fight, which will avail Whittington against Reito Satsumi. I will apologize. I didn't pay for any of these pay-per-views, so I caught up watching what I could, where I could. Reito Satsumi, I thought he performed very well. Picked his shots. He had nice stinging shots. He was fast. He was smart. Only a 6-round competition, but again, I thought he performed very, very well. Obviously, while we're waiting on Eric as well, guys, anybody that's watching or viewing, listen, the comments met this show, and like the more comments we get, the more interaction we get, it makes the show a better place, and we will respond and flag your comments up on the screen as well where possible. So please get involved. But yeah, Reito Satsumi, I think, looking at what we saw, he's got a bright future. It was professional debut. I think he handled his career quite well. He can move up the rankings pretty quickly, especially for how he performed. I think he is due out as well in a couple of weeks on another card on the zone. So it'd be interesting to see how he performs on that one as well, and see if he can level up that consistency in performances. Did you watch the Satsumi card? Satsumi
fight? Yeah, I did. I thought he did well. I thought they put him in there with a good opponent.
It was game, weren't he? Whittington.
Yeah, very good opponent. A bit negative at times, but he knew how to handle himself in there. I think Tatsumi's punch selection was really good. He didn't get frustrated in there. He threw in combinations when he had to. Yeah, I thought it was a good pro debut. I thought the matchmaking was good as well, because it was the best fight on the card, really, action packed. Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was a good debut for him. Really good debut. I think he's got He's got the style. He's got a nice action-packed style where he's not scared to let his hands go. He's a come-forward fighter. So yeah, I think there's good things for him.
Yeah, I agree.
What we got next?
But shall we move on to Teofimo?
Yeah, we've got Teofimo Lopez. Well, we'll start off with this fight. I'm not sure what you made of. Obviously, I don't know if you watched the full fight, but what you made of the fight itself.
So I go on.
No, go on. That was it.
So I was watching like the highlights. Yeah, big up Doncaster, League 2 champions on our way to League 1. You know the score. But yeah, I watched, like, again, I said I refuse to pay for these fights because I'm just going to put it out there right now. Pay-per-view pisses me off. Now, I understand in England when it's our own home fighters and it's big shows, I understand this. Let's pay-per-view it all day long. I don't mind paying for these fights. But when you've got the likes of international stars who, yeah, they are great. They're great athletes, great, very popular. I just don't agree with paying for those fights. They don't get the same viewership, and we pay enough for subscriptions. We pay enough per month to watch DAZN, watch. I think Box Nation is still kicking about the Sky Sports, the TNT. I'm sick of it now, where they're just charging for every single big fight, and it's got to stop. But Teofimo, I thought, performed really well. Boxing like we predicted in the on the preview. I thought he had the better eye-catching shots. He had the better style. He looked better on the night. His combination punches were effective, and he was boxing overall really well. For me, on this card, other than Sutsumi, probably the performance of the night. And I'm not saying that's anything to like be proud of, because it weren't a great performance overall from any fighter on the night, really. I kind of thought Barboza, he wasn't the Barboza that turned up against Jack Catterall. I kind of expected him to come forward. I kind of expected him to be aggressive and pick his shots, but he just weren't doing. It weren't the same sort of fight. He didn't seem to have any like algorithm to his tactics. He was flat-footed as expected, but he weren't cutting off the ring. Hello, Mr. Neutral, how you doing? Hope all's okay. And I don't know. I was just disappointed with Barboza. I thought I thought Lopez were really good. Just Barboza, he weren't the same Barboza that turned up for Catterall, and it was just so disappointing. I thought that was going to be a much closer fight, and it ended up being a one-way spanking. Really. Just Barboza looked coolest in there.
I went with Barboza off coming off the Jack Catterall fight. I thought it would be a close fight. I thought it'd be probably a split decision win. I said before, Lopez should win this fight with the ability he's got, but I don't know what Lopez is going to show up. The fight itself, it was an okay fight. On the night, it was definitely the better fight out of them all. Teofimo's performance, on the other hand, fantastic performance. The fight wasn't great itself. It wasn't a great fight because I don't think Barboza did enough to make it a fight. Teo did well. Teo looked like he enjoyed himself in there. He was styling on Barboza. Barboza looked slow. His hand speed looked slow. It looked completely different to what he was like against Jack. Agree, CJ was looking for Barboza performance made Catterall look bad. Yeah, Barboza performance did that. It did. It did make Jack look bad, because that performance right there, it's not even so much like cutting off the ring seemed to be one of those things in this fight where on this weekend seemed to be a problem. When Teo went on the back foot, Barboza didn't know what to do. Barboza went on the back foot, he still didn't know what to do. It seemed like he was in no man's land. He didn't know when to box, when to come forward. But Teo did what Teo's capable of doing, in my opinion. I think his boxing ability is unquestioned. It's just, can he perform on that level time in, time out?
Consistently, yeah. Because that's the
the
biggest. That's the biggest downfall to Teofimo is consistent. Is like a League Two team. To be fair, sometimes he's playing really well, but then the consistency in there, we get beat by Chuffy and whoever 4-0. So it's just one of those where if he can keep those performances every time around, and I don't get me wrong, nobody can ever do that, but if he can be a bit more consistent, he's got a bright future ahead. And I've been looking at the rankings of like where I'd like to see him sort of go next. And like for he's the WBO now outright after beating Barbosa or into him. And you've got your top 5 here. All the names are Alfredo Santiago, Isaac Cruz, Subriel Matias, Jack Catterall's number 4, Liam Paro. So these are some good opponents there.
The thing is, though, with Teo is Teo now. Well, I say now. Teo's had the name. Just before we carry on, Libster says there should be a monthly streaming service for sports. Like, for example, the Premier League should have its own streaming service instead of paying for Sky, TNT, Prime. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But we've sort of got that in boxing with DAZN. But the problem you've got is, we've got all the boxing on DAZN, but then they're still charging us pay-per-view. And from when you live in England, when you live in the UK, and you're getting charged a pay-per-view for fights in America that start 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, why we ain't gonna pay for that? It's pointless it being on pay-per-view. And the same way around when Americans are expected to pay for our pay-per-view, because our big fights are normally domestic fights. They're normally a big fight in the UK market. They're not normally big, unless you're talking your AJs and your Furies and stuff like that, where obviously I can understand that. But like a Eubank Ben, great fight, it delivered, don't get me wrong, but the US shouldn't be paying pay-per-view for that. They really shouldn't.
These are 2 guys that weren't even the best in their own divisions. They were just 2 guys that were very popular in ours.
Yeah, and that's where I think DAZN's messed up, where the pricing is the pricing everyone is the pricing everyone for fights they're not bothered about. Like the people in the UK don't want to pay that money just to watch it next day. And the other thing is a bit of a kick in the teeth, because as well as good as it is, and I'm happy it's happening, but the very next day, Ring Magazine is posting all the fights, full fights, on YouTube. Like, and it's quick, but people have just paid 35 quid, 40 quid, or whatever it is for this pay-per-view, waited up at stupid o'clock in the morning for this pay-per-view, only to wake up and a few hours later it's out. The full thing is out on YouTube. Like, they should be out on YouTube. I agree with that, but it shouldn't be paid. You shouldn't have to pay for it on a platform just to get it free a day later.
No, it's like I think how old were I? Like, it must have been like the late noughties, early like 2010 sort of thing. I was paying for Box Nation, like that had all your big American fights on it, all included in the subscription. You didn't pay for any Canelos or any Andre Wards or anything like that. It were all included on there. Now it's all about fucking rinsing us. You pay.
It was supposed to, that's what DAZN was supposed to be. DAZN was supposed to be the home of boxing, where you paid your monthly subscription and you got cards every week. You had a card or whatever. And now it just it started off good, but yet again they realised that each time they keep putting the price up for the subscription, and then now we've got to pay pay-per-view as well, which for me is just too much in boxing. But yeah, I agree with you, Libster. We definitely do need something like that, where we're just paying a monthly subscription. There's no pay-per-views. Pay-per-views should be dead, like Eddie Hearn said when DAZN first came out. Pay-per-views are dead. You pay your monthly subscription, and that's where you get all your boxing. Lisa Leva says, where's CJ? CJ wasn't available today to jump on the review, but hopefully he'll be back. He'll be available on Thursday. I'll be back soon. Yeah, we miss him. We miss him as well. Christ, I call me CJ.
I can only take it as a compliment. No problem.
Evening, Ra. Good
the real Ra.
The real Ra.
Okay, it's the real one, not the imposter.
anything that screws over Riyadh and DAZN is good. Oh
But
God, yes,
let's move
Raz
on
back.
anyway. Devin Haney versus Jose
Yeah.
Carlos Ramirez. I want to kick it off. I watched the highlights again for all these fights, extended ones though, right? And I was listening to the commentary.
Oh God,
And
don't.
these guys do not
But you
like
know
Devin
what? Before you
Haney's
carry on, Ricky, before you carry on, just say thank God you watched the
highlights.
highlights because
Yeah,
you know what I'm like with commentary. You know my
yeah,
feeling on
I'm
it.
on it. Same. If the
And
zone
my
had a
God,
fucking commentary-free section.
I was having heart palpitations just listening to Jim Lampley. He was, but I'll let you finish anyway because I need to get my rant off.
So anyway, I was like, it's his first fight back since the destruction job from Garcia, where he got a bit of an hiding during that fight. Yeah, we were winning the fight boxing wise. The knockdowns lost him that fight, but mentally, every time he got caught, he got dropped and he got hurt quite a lot in that fight. So I was kind of thinking, what Devin Haney are we going to see? Like, this guy has had a year out, practically. I can't remember how much it is. Probably working on certain things in the gym, probably trying to get his mental game right as well, because he took a lot of stick, a lot of hammer. Even though Ryan Garcia came up, got caught out on the Austrian, he was still getting hammered. People calling him a liar. His dad's a liar. He's chinny. He's pillow fisted. This guy took some heat from this fight. So I was kind of wondering, and intrigued to see what kind of performance we would get. Now, I thought, yeah, he didn't like the bout was a flop, right? But these commentators were saying, he's gone up in weight. Why can't he start, and come forward? Devin Haney is not a come forward fighter. Devin Haney is a boxer. He boxes on the back foot and he boxes. He is a boxer. He's not a come forward fighter. He's not an inside fighter. He is a boxer. He will pick you off, pick his shots, and he will box you to fucking bits if he can. Now, remember, styles make fights as well. Carlos Ramirez is also just as much as in charge of this bout, and his tactics should have also been. He has to take some responsibility for making this bout entertaining. He wasn't cutting off the ring quick enough. He wasn't doing much when he got close. He was smothering his own work. Now, I think Devin Haney performed well for a Devin Haney fight. And I thought he boxed well and got the points and did his job. Now, I didn't see much. Yeah, there weren't much action, but you can't win them all. And this guy took some stick. So, end of the day, the stats come up. And yeah, it weren't great. I think my man Eric's got the stats, but these weren't the worst stats of the weekend. So I don't think he's in that much of a bad. He's just getting heat and getting hate because it's Devin Haney, and everybody seems to hate the guy for some reason. But go on, see, Eric, I'll let you go.
That killed me. The fact you even said that wasn't even the worst stats of the weekend. That was it's funny.
They were one of the best.
But before I carry on, Ra said, do you guys like the idea of having boxing events in these public spaces? I personally think it's a good idea as long as it's open to the public. Yeah, I generally think it was a good idea. The idea was there. And I don't want to. We'll touch on that. We'll touch on that later. We'll save that for a bit later because there's something I want to touch on that actually, Ra. So we'll save that for near the end, and we'll get back to it. But yeah, the Devin Haney versus Ramirez fight. For me, the fight wasn't great. It really wasn't. There wasn't much action at all. It's not a secret. I'm a big Devin Haney fan. He was one of my favorite fighters. Inside and outside the ring, I like how he fights. A lot of people don't like it. Me personally, I didn't enjoy that performance from him. But also, like you said, I could understand that performance from him. For the last year, since April 20th of 2024, this kid has been called chinny, been told he can't defend the left hook, been told the Austrian had nothing to do with the left hook, being told he can't, he's a bum, he's been called every name under the sun. So he got told, oh, why did you try to fight Ryan Garcia? You should stick to boxing. You think you're a puncher. Why are you trying to be a puncher? Why? If Devin had the complete wrong game plan. That was the whole thing all year, is Devin had the wrong game plan. And I agree. I think it was the wrong game plan against Ryan Garcia. I thought when he was boxing him, he was beating him. When he decided he wanted to go inside and try to hurt Garcia, that's when he got caught. So the game plan was wrong. So for him to come out after a year getting criticized, bearing in mind the guy got criticized more than the guy that cheated against him for this last year. The guy that cheated came into this weekend or last weekend. He came into that weekend as the hero, which is crazy to think about. The guy that cheated got all the promotion this weekend. This whole thing was about Ryan Garcia. He got to headline it. He got all this promo. He's now the guy who fell off a little bit, and he's back now. He didn't cheat. It was contamination, but he's back, and he's going to do all this lot. Yeah. So Devin gets in there and he protects himself. He fights to win. The whole point of a contest is to win the fight. I know as fans, we want to fight. We come to watch boxing. We want to see a scrap. We want to see who's better at fighting, so on and so forth. But for me, I can understand the performance from Devin, because there's questions. He's got questions whether he can still take a shot. Because as much as we've got the questions, we wasn't the ones that was feeling it. He was. So for him to go out there and move his feet as much, I didn't like it personally, but he did what he had to do. He got the win. Had he gone out there and lost, people would be clowning him. We would be saying, "Oh, it definitely wasn't the Austrian. Devin Haney's no good. He can't take a punch." So he goes out there and he doesn't get hit. I don't see the issue with it. I think for this performance, he deserves grace. He's had a year out. I think Jim Lampley and Antonio Tarver are a disgrace to commentary, to be quite honest with you. I'm not kidding you. From round one, this isn't even the commentary on Devin Haney, because I thought the commentary on Devin Haney was horrible, but fair enough. You can criticize the performance, you can criticize the fight. They didn't criticize Jose Ramirez enough, because a flat-footed fighter not being able to cut off the ring and let go of punches. When you are a combination puncher, where you throw a lot of punches, when you're a fighter who's a come-forward fighter who should be able to cut off the ring, and you can't do those two things, I don't think the other guy should get criticized for not allowing you to trap him in a corner. I really don't. Especially when you're getting hit as well. You're not hit. You landed 40 punches. So for me, I have no issue with the performance from Devin. He needed a win. He needed to get to that Ryan Garcia rematch. That was all this weekend was about to him, was to get a win and make sure, because he even said in the build up to it, Ramirez is first. My focus is on Ramirez, because if I don't get past Ramirez, I don't get the rematch. My focus is getting to the rematch, which is exactly what he did.
Yeah, and he's set his son up really well. And after the performance against Ramiro, you know, for me, if I were Devin Haney, I'd be quite content with what I've just seen. If I were Haney now, I'd be looking at Ramiro and beating the man that's just beat him. So
the problem you've got with that, Ricky, is I just don't. I'm obviously on the Twitter streets and stuff like that constantly, and people are talking more about, just shifting obviously to the main event of that as well. People are talking more about Devin Haney's performance in a winning performance to Ryan Garcia's performance in a losing performance. And not only a losing performance, it was a horrible performance. Ryan Garcia got dropped in the second round. And after he got dropped, he didn't try to fight. Devin Haney got criticised for moving too much around the ring and not taking chances and allowing Jose to. Ryan did no such thing. He got dropped and he shelled up.
Yeah. I was literally going to say that.
He looked like a fighter that didn't want that I just thought, oh, you know what? I'm scared to get hit. He generally looked scared to get hit, but whereas I know people are going to say, oh, well, the power's different or whatever. I remember when Devin Haney clipped Ryan, I think the 3rd round, with a clean left hook. Ryan's leg stumbled back and instantly he smashed his gloves together and was like, come on. In this fight, he got dropped and he was like, no, I'm just not going to get knocked out. And Rolly Romero outboxed him for 12 rounds. Ryan won 1 round in that fight, and that was the 1st round.
Yeah, no, that I agree. I think from all boxing events should be free. Yeah, Ryan makes a good point there, Mum. The thing is boxers get paid a lot of money. TV licenses only go to the BBC. It's not going to cover what Turkey Al Sheikh's paying them. Basically, what we're saying is you should get your subscription and everything should be pretty. There should be no pay-per-views with your subscription. You're paying 15, 16, increase it to 18 quid a month and don't charge for any pay-per-views. Do you know what I mean? And people will accept that or have all your pay-per-views included, but stop taking the piss out of boxing fans, charging us 15 quid a month or whatever it is to multiple different streaming services as well, Sky, TNT, charging, and then boom, we'll hit you with pay-per-views just when the big fights come on.
That's the problem with boxing, because it's such a fan-driven sport. Without the fans, obviously football clubs and that, they earn money through different revenues and stuff like that. When it comes to boxing events, the fans literally pay. They pay to fill the arenas. They pay for the pay-per-view, the TV, all of that. It's built from the fans. Turkey right now, when he first came in, you didn't really need the fans because he was like, I'm going to put it on. If I lose money, I lose money. I'm not bothered. It wasn't about pay-per-views. Now we've moved from, if you realize that when it was more the British fighters and the European fighters that was dealing with Turkey, there wasn't many pay-per-views. It was all on the app. As soon as we start to venture in, Turkey ventures into that American market, all of a sudden, oh, well, this fighter has to be on pay-per-view because he demands he's got to be paid this X amount, or this fighter will only get paid this. So the only thing they can do is put it on pay-per-view to regain money. And that's the problem with American boxing, is they don't build legacy fighters. All they want to do is build commercial fighters. That's it.
Yeah.
It's commercial fighters. That's all they care for, is franchising. They do it with every single sport. Everything is franchising to America. Whereas you've got the British scene where you can literally see from these guys. Most of these guys is grinding through the levels, and then you get your big payday as you work up. Obviously, you have your stars who's come from the Olympics, but they've been sponsored for however long anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, moving backwards anyway. Ryan Garcia, like you said, I think after the double hook landed and he got put in his ass, I just think he shelled up all night. Romero, I don't think he performed typically that well. I think he looks very beatable. And if I were Conor Benn at this moment in time, I feel like my stock could be going up and I'd be licking my lips thinking, you know what? After the performance I just had against Eubank, I think I could take these guys pretty convincingly. So if I were him, I'd be looking for those fights as well because I think they're there. I'm not saying he wins them, and I'm not saying that off the back of the Ben one performance that Ben can beat him, but I'd have that mindset right now because he'll have a different mindset after that Eubank fight, Ben.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't see Rolly do anything in that fight that changed my opinion on how good Rolly is.
Let's have a look. Billy Pickles.
Yeah,
that looks good.
I generally don't. I didn't see any, and I've been saying for a while anyway. I don't rate Ryan Garcia as a boxer. Devin was outboxing him. He only won the rounds he dropped Devin in. Luke Campbell was outboxing him. I don't rate Garcia as a boxer. I really don't. I think he has a left hook, and it proved on that night outside of a left hook. Ryan really hasn't got much to show or give us. I think this
No.
performance for me proves he was cheating against Devon.
Yeah, underperformed. Right, I am related. I am Pickle Rick, and that is it. I'm Pickle Rick. But yeah, dull show Friday anyway.
It really
And
was.
it
But I just
doesn't.
want to show something quickly. Let me see if I
Yeah,
can
go
get
for it,
it.
mate. Go
Let
for
me
it.
see if I can get it. If I can get it up, it'll be a thing of
I've been
beauty.
told. I've been told I look like a certain UFC fighter as well, Ra, and I'm trying to remember his name. Heavyweight, supposed to fight John Jones.
Oh,
What's his name?
Aspinall.
Aspinall. Yeah, I could talk like him and all.
Aspinall. Yeah.
Basically, I look like an ugly bald person. Is what you're trying to say, Ra? I'm not happy, mate. I'm not happy.
Yeah, I just want to show this because this is just Ryan Garcia for all this left hook, how good his left hook is. Every time Ryan Garcia has been dropped, it's been with a left hook. Boom, Luke Campbell. This is when Haney hurt him. That's when Tank dropped
Sensual
him.
music, this.
A left hook to the body. Ryan Garcia, the left hook is a gift and a curse, it seems, for him. Because every time he's been dropped with a left hook. Every time he's been hurt, it's been with a left hook. Yeah, Garcia, one trick pony, no gas tank. I agree,
Yeah, I
Mr.
agree with
Yeah,
that.
Me and Mr. Neutral. You know what? I'm glad he's on my side now because me and Mr. Neutral has had so many debates over the Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney fight. So many debates where he insisted that the Austrian didn't play a part in the left hook landing. But Mr. Neutral, clearly it looks like it did. He's Dustin Diamond's brother.
I will knock you out.
Oh God! Right, let's move on
But
to
let's move on to
Sunday's
Saturday's
card.
show. Thank you, Lydia.
Saturday's show.
Saturday. Let's move on to Saturday.
Yeah, who are you going with first?
I just wanna quickly say one of the performances of the weekend belonged to two fighters, Marco Verde, who was making his debut, and I'll say his name right, Brian Leon. Now, these two fighters on this card were probably the best on. But both of them were really good. Marco Verde, very aggressive, picked his shots, had nasty shot selection, very good ring IQ. Brian Leon as well, a bit slower than Verde, but very good shot selection. Timing, he had very good timing with everything. And for me, performers of the night for that card. But I didn't see much of Richard Riakpo. He was added to the card quite late.
He was added very late.
Yeah, so we can just move on to some of the main fight cards.
We'll go with Badu Jack because I picked Badu Jack to lose this fight. Mr. Neutral said Brian Leon. Remember the name. We certainly will do.
It says Brian. It says Brian.
Brian O'Brien. Yeah, he's Scottish, so that's how he says it.
Brian Leon.
No, but yeah, Badu Jack. I didn't expect much from Badu Jack. I felt like he was over the hill, really. But he showed in that fight that he's going to take a good cruiserweight to beat him. His skill set is still there. It was a good fight. It was a very good fight, actually. I went back and watched it. I thought they both did good work. It was a majority decision to Jack. I'm not complaining at that. I thought Jack's shot selection was good. Michaelian combination punches was good as well. When he let his hands go, he looked good. Took a really good fight.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, really. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know who we were going to get. We've not seen these guys in over a couple of years. They're both of their last fights were against the same person. Now, I was impressed. For 41 years old, he's still performing really well. A draw wouldn't have been a bad shout, to be fair.
No.
Now, we both picked McKellian, so it shows you what we fucking know, doesn't it? But, I enjoyed it. It like took me back. I've been watching Badou Jack for years and years. Always been a big fan of him. It was one of those where he weren't like flashy, he weren't, that heat, like he didn't have all the eye-catching punches or the flair or the stuff. He did everything basic and everything well. And it was a good handyman of the sport when it came to styles. And I just really enjoyed him. He was a lot slower. I think you put him against the younger opponent, I do think he gets beat. Now, I think fourth in their rankings is Chris Billum-Smith. So speaking of a good cruiserweight, to come up against him would be one, to be fair. And I think Chris Billum-Smith would have his number on the night. I like that fight as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I think Chris would back it. So like Mr. Neutral just said, and you yourself said, he's 41 years old. It's a good time. And to be honest with you, I think Badou's probably looking for that big payday. He's looking for that big fight. I think a veteran of the sport, for me, like you said, he was always the gentleman. I always seen him as the big up Trey. Let's get it. He always seemed like to me the sensible one out of the Mayweather lot, because he was signed with Mayweather with the J. Leon Loves, with all of those lot who was there at the time. And he was always the one who was just the calm one, the quiet one, very well spoken. He didn't get into the rah-rah arguing stuff. And his boxing ability was very good. I remember him getting stopped, I think, really early in his career, and it was like, he was signed to Mayweather, and it was this big deal that he got stopped. But he came back and became a world champion, fighting James DeGale as well. They were good fights. I think he deserves a big fight. Maybe the Jai Opataya fight could be there for him. It depends on who's the bigger name, really. Where the money's coming from. Is it with Billum-Smith? Is it with Zerdo Ramirez? Is it with Jai Opataya? It's probably, I think all of them fight on Riyadh season. I think all of them fight on the ring as well. So for me, he can go any of those routes. He's got the belt now. He can certainly fight and get that big payday.
No, I agree. I was just thinking then. I would just remember that head clash he suffered.
Yeah.
I just got a picture of it up there. I was gonna bang it on, but
that was horrible. Rat says, I bumped into Jack in Riyadh and did an interview with him at Smoky Beard's barbecue smokehouse after tucking into some steak. Oh, that's brilliant! How did he come across? Was he a nice guy? How did he come across? Because he seems a nice guy anyway. Badou Jack. He seems like somebody you could actually have a conversation with.
Yeah, he does. I've always been a big fan of Jack's. Always, and I love his nickname as well. Take us back to the Yorkshire days.
Yeah, perfect.
Body Ripper. But other than that, a good performance for him. So there's a comment there actually from Ra and both Mr. Neutral are going for that and all.
Yeah, Ra, I reckon. Yeah, I reckon Zerdo for him next. They're both X168 founders. Yeah, I agree. Jack is a lovely guy, but has an odd, very economical with his words.
Because he's Swedish. That'd be a Swedish charm.
Moving on to we'll go with Martin Bakole versus F.A. Jagba.
Yeah.
I rewatched this fight. This fight was called a draw. For me, I felt like, we both picked Martin Bakole. I think I picked Martin Bakole 8th round stoppage or something like that. But it ended up in a draw. And watching the fight back, it looked like to me that FA Jagba probably could have nicked that fight or should have nicked that fight. It's a performance that Martin Bakoli came in very heavy. He came in very looked out of shape.
£300, wasn't he?
Yeah, 299, I think they reckon, but yeah, £300+ getting in the ring. Sorry. For me, the Joseph Parker performance, you can give a pass for. I can understand. You can say late notice, 24-hour notice, you saved the show, you did what you had to do, fair enough. But coming in like that, when you've got notice, you said that this time you're gonna be better, and apart from when a juggler stayed on the ropes and allow you to throw punches at him, I felt like he lost his fight. I don't think it was a draw. I don't think he did enough to win. For me, but I think Billy Nelson and Martin Bakoli need to figure out what's going on, because Billy Nelson is now saying, well, Martin's vegan. That's one of the reasons why he comes in so heavy. I've never understood.
That's his own problem.
I don't. But I remember seeing a Netflix. I remember seeing a Netflix documentary about plant-based fighters. I think Shushu Carrington were one of those fighters on there.
Nate Diaz,
Bruce Carrington, and Nate Diaz as well. Yeah. He
were using that as the reason why he beat McGregor, because McGregor eating steak after steak. Listen,
but
your diet is your problem. You've got nutritionists. You've got all this team in place, right? Don't be coming in heavy and blaming your fucking diet for it.
Thanks for tuning in. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just we're bored to sleep, as much as saying there. To be fair, like I'm not gonna lie. But no, I just think, like you said, it came in heavy, £300. Now I don't care. Obviously, I'm a big we've been watching those Eubank podcasts, haven't we? And I was watching the 8th round KO one or whatever. No, the first round KO in 8 seconds. And he stays in there like, as a warrior, as a boxer, you should be staying in shape. And I don't care who you are. These heavyweights like Anthony Joshua, you can see he stays in shape. Daniel Dubois stays in shape. Usyk stays in shape. Loma. There's countless amounts of successful boxers that stay in shape. Boxers should have, like what we said, that they should be having check weights and throughout the year. They're the only sport where they don't have to stay in shape. And I just think, what would their careers be like if they did? Do you know what I mean? So it's like Ricky Hatton. Like, could you imagine if he didn't gain all that weight and having to break down, if he just actively stayed in shape throughout his career? It could have been a completely different fighter. But if you're going to take that lifestyle, you cannot blame it when you lose. Now, like you said, if it came in £300 for the Parker fight, you can understand that. I kind of think, would he have came in heavy just because if he thought he could blast out a Jagba early?
Yeah.
Was that the game plan? Blast him out, bully.
It could have well been. Big up to Trill in the chat. Welcome back, Trill. You've been gone for a minute, but welcome back, brother.
Been a long minute.
But yeah, for me, whether he comes in like that or not, but you then, Billy Nelson then can't come out and say, oh well, Martin is now going to start. He's never had a strength and conditioning coach. He's now going to start. You are too high up in the sport not to have a strength and conditioning coach. It seems to be all the top fighters have this for a reason. That's why they are at the top, because when you get further to the top, you have the luxury of being able to afford the best in class to help you stay there. Like Martin Bakoli, you haven't even reached the top yet, but you coming in at that weight against Joseph Parker, surely that should have been a trigger for you to get a strength and conditioning, because you haven't been getting the fights. This is now is the time where you are getting these opportunities. The Gerard Anderson opportunity, the Joseph Parker opportunity, the FA Jagba opportunity. These are 3 good names you fought, and the Anderson one is the only one you did well in. So I
Big
thought
upset
Martin
that Jared
McCauley.
Anderson one.
I always say, I've said it, I think this on my Twitter, I've said about Martin McCauley. I believe Martin McCauley is hyped to what he isn't. He's a hyped up fighter. I think he's a good fighter. I don't think he's as good as people make out. I think he beat an inexperienced Jared Anderson, who's been making the same mistakes from the beginning of his career, pulling back with his head up high, dipping down low without his hands up. He's been making those mistakes, and a certain level of fighter will beat him, would have beaten him. But Martin McCauley, how people spoke about him after the Jared Anderson fight, like he was this boogeyman and nobody could touch him, and he was going to beat this and that. I said that they did it with Joe Joyce. I've seen it happen. They did it with Joe Joyce, and they did it with they're doing it with Martin McCauley. That Martin McCauley wasn't as good as he was. I think I was one of few that was picking Joseph Parker to beat him when that fight got announced. And then afterwards, everyone was like, "Yeah, but it was on 24 hours notice." And I was like, "Yeah, I can see that. I can see that." But here we go, FA Jagba, who mostly everybody expected him to knock out, and he ended up getting a draw with him.
Yeah, exactly. But good for comments.
Yep.
Don't think that players need to stay in shape. No, they're not athletes though. They're not even that. Any game, any sport you can play in a fucking pub is not a sport, right? It's not a sport. This.
Let's see. You've got Ricky man now. Shout out to you, gentlemen, for holding it down. Appreciate it, Trill. Ra says, disgraceful that a boogeyman that can't get fights isn't always in tip-top shape when he'll only ever get the late notice replacement. I agree with you. Like, we've got our own Josh Padley. I think CJ said they've got a saying, say, if you stay ready, your bags are always packed to go for that call. And Martin McCauley's bags was packed, but he wasn't ready. He wasn't remotely ready for the Parker fight anyway, and it seemed like I don't know what he did in for the McCauley fight. I don't understand what he does in training camp. Charles says I agree. Moneybags. You know what, that nickname, I will never get rid of it. Trilly's the best at giving nicknames. I can't lie. Billy wants the Joseph Parker rematch. How can you ask for a Joseph Parker rematch when you came in like that and looked like that, and most of the people thought you lost the fight? You've done nothing to ask. If you went in there and which everybody was expecting for you to stop a Jagba, that Joseph Parker rematch right now would be hot on the press. Everybody would be asking for that rematch. Everybody would be.
He's not in any position to make any demands.
No position whatsoever to make any demands. Moving on to who we got next. I think we've got Jaime versus. We got someone else before that.
No, Munguia versus Saraz.
Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia versus Bruno Saraz. A good fight, a better fight I was expecting to see.
Yeah.
I think it was an all-action fight. Bruno Saraz proved he was tougher than what I certainly expected him to be. I think after watching the first fight and seeing how much Munguia had his own way with him up until the shot what landed, I expected Munguia to really begin where he sort of left off before that shot landed. But Saraz proved that he belonged in there. I think Jaime has a lot of work still to do. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter, but he still has a lot of work to do. I think Saraz came in there and gave a good account of himself. I think he gave a better. Funnily enough, I think fighting wise, I think he gave a better account of himself than he did in the first fight. To be quite honest with you, because outside of landing the shot in the first fight, I don't think he did anything really. But in this fight, he certainly came to fight. It was a good action fight, a good fight. I think Jaime, he's still, how old's Jaime? I think Jaime's like 26, 27, something like that.
Isn't it something like that? Maybe he looks about 40. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that's because he keeps getting punched in. It's because he keeps getting punched in the face. That's why.
I know.
He gets lumped up every fight, Jaime, but No, it was a good fight. I enjoyed this fight after the weekend and these fights. Obviously, I didn't watch this live. I went to bed. I wasn't after Friday's card. I was like, hell no, am I staying up to watch
Nah,
any of
there's
them
not enough
fights?
Red
So
Bulls in the world to
yeah,
keep you awake
no,
after Friday night.
I so I went back and watched this fight. I enjoyed the fight. I thought it was good action. A good fight. I think Jaime a little bit. He showed a little bit more class than Bruno Soares, but I'd like to see Bruno Soares in there with up and coming guys. You know, give him a tough test. I think he proved himself that he can get another shot at a decent name.
Where do you like next then? If you're Maguire now, what next do you reckon? Because the
I think
1-on-1, so that could lead. Not saying we want
nah,
it or need it. I'm
nah,
not saying
nah.
we do, but that it could lead to that. Or would you like to see him move on? Where would you like to see him go next?
Nah, I think the rematch is done. I think Bruno Soares, I think came out of that rematch looking well. He didn't get the win, but I don't think he came out of that rematch losing any credibility.
No,
I
I
think
don't.
this rematch Jaime just needed because of the knockout. He's gone in there, he's done 12 rounds. I think Jaime moves on. I think where is he at 168? I don't know. Was that a fight at 168 or 160? Did he move back
Yeah,
down?
no, I think it'd be 1-6. I think it was 168.
168. So,
167 and 3/4 according to Box
yeah,
Rec.
so 168. So you've got at 168, you've got Charlo is planning to fight Plant. You've got Shiraz versus Benavidez. You've got Pacheco fighting soon. I think
Yeah.
he's can't remember. Is it Trevor McCumbee Pacheco's fighting?
There's Belanga. There's a Belanga fight there. That'd be a good scrap.
No, but Belanga's fighting Hamza next. That's the thing. It all depends on
But it would
timeline.
be, yeah, it depends on timeline. But you got
Yeah,
to
it
think,
depends on timeline.
but they are
But
going to be,
I think Belanga versus Munguia, Trilla's 100% right because if Belanga's looking for that Canelo rematch, Munguia is now trained by Eddie Reynoso and Canelo's team. So it makes sense.
yeah,
Obviously, Puerto Rico versus Mexico, that still stands. Obviously, Belanga's going to fancy his chances way more in this fight than he did against Canelo. I think it's a 50-50 fight for me. I think it's a good fight for
yeah,
both fighters. I think if Belanga can get past Shiraz, yeah, I think Munguia is probably the money fight at that weight for him because Plant and Charlo will see him if they both win the next fights. They'll be fighting each other. So yeah, I don't mind that fight at all. I think that's a good shout. It is a good shout, yeah.
you're welcome.
Chances to hit.
We'll move on anyway. We'll move on. We
Main
have
event.
got the main event. Canelo Alvarez on his debut for Riyadh against William Skull, the man that was dusted in 8 rounds by Conor Benn.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of that fight? You watched it, you scored it.
Well,
So,
I
give us a
thought
breakdown.
I thought Conor Benn and Nigel Benn ruined that fight for us, and it turned out that Skull maybe might have learned from that fight, from them sparring sessions. But
The Maidens he got.
yeah, the ridings he got from Conor Benn. Right, so it's a two-part of this one for me with this performance. It really is. I'm going to go on a tangent. I don't care. But
Go for it.
for me, yet again, you've got a pressure fighter versus a pure boxer. Canelo doesn't like pure boxers. He's never liked pure boxers. There's no secret. The Lara fight, he never liked. Um, he doesn't like that style. He doesn't. His style doesn't suit that style. It means he has to work a bit harder, which he doesn't want to do. Clearly. I think yet again this fight, the reason for this fight is being so boring and lackluster is on both fighters. I think
Yeah.
Shiraz was Skull was moving way too much and not throwing enough. Like he's flicking the jab out, but he's not flicking the jab to land it. He's just flicking the jab to stay away. I don't mind the movement, but let your hands go as well. At least when you move, pivot round them, let a couple of shots go. He was
100%.
trying to counter Canelo's hook to the body. He was trying to counter every time Canelo threw that hook. Skull would try and counter with a right hand. I scored this fight a draw. Watching it back, I got bored halfway through it, to be quite honest with you, and that's probably why it ended up being a draw, because the rounds was. I find it hard giving a round to Canelo for just coming forward, because one, your footwork was horrible. It was horrible. It was slow. It was ponderous. It was like he wasn't even trying. You was waiting for Skull to just stop in front of you so you can start throwing. You didn't use a jab. I think, how many jabs did Canelo throw? I think he landed 8 jabs in the whole fight in 12 rounds, I believe.
Thrown, landed 12.
He landed 8 jabs and 2 to the body.
Yeah,
so
something like that, yeah.
If you are a pressure fighter and you're trying to get inside and you are not using your jab, that, for me, you can't blame the boxer who's moving. You are not doing the adequate things in order to get you inside to land your shots. You're just following him around the ring. So for me, Canelo complaining and his fans complaining that Skull needs to be out of boxing and we need to ban boxers like that, I think it's a cop out for the pressure fighter who's refusing to do the work and use the jab to get inside. You are not using your jab to get inside, but you expect someone to just stand there and allow you to hit them. Skull, for me, didn't do enough to win. Like we said before, we've said about that. Obviously, Canelo's favorite, so you're going to score the close rounds to Canelo. I don't think it's right that happens, because when you're in the fight, when you get in that ring, both fighters should be on a fair and even playing field. They should be judged the same way. But also, the second part of that bit was Skull didn't deserve to be undisputed champion for that performance.
No.
You did not deserve to be undisputed champion for that performance. So therefore, Canelo getting the win, I have no issue with, because you didn't do enough to put a stamp on it. At least put a stamp on it at the end of rounds. At least do something, but you didn't do that. So I have no issue with Canelo winning the fight.
Up your work rate. I want to touch base on that. I thought the second round, was the round that did change the fight, because I'm sure, from watching the highlights, Canelo sort of wobbles Skull a little bit with a certain shot, and then after that it's backpedaling all the way around. But I didn't know if that tactically, have they tried to emulate anything from the fights before Lara, Mayweather, where they tried to box Canelo, but just didn't have enough pop in the shot. Canelo, for me, very disappointing, especially for his Saturday debut. Yeah, I know the guy on his bike. We had it with Dalton Smith against Truffinello, he fought last other weekend. He were backpedaling all night as well. It's up to the fighter to change the tactics. Have a plan A, have a plan B. Yeah, he still won the fight, but if he's wanting that performance, then he's not suiting the style that we prepared for. So he's plan B. Up his footwork a little bit. Try and cut off the minute. I understand, Canelo, he's 34 now. So is the movement all that still there? Does he, like you say, doesn't want to work as hard these days, or it doesn't look like he wants people to come forward and just fight him, and he will bomb people out that way. But end of the day, he's a four-time undisputed world champion. He should be able to have the skill set to adapt to every situation. Mayweather could adapt to every situation.
Fact.
If he's to be that guy, and what most people think he is, then for me, he should be one of the most adaptable boxers.
And today. That's the thing, Ricky. He should be judged at a higher level for not being able to stop Skull from moving so much. You are pound for pound top 3 in the world. You are two-time undisputed, free, whatever it is, so many divisions. Like for 12 weeks, what have you been doing? Skull fights like this every fight. Every fight, Skull fights like this for 12 weeks. What have you been doing? Because the whole point of boxing, again, is to frustrate your opponent, to not allow your opponent to do what they do best. And for me, Skull did that. He was the one in there frustrating Canelo. He was the one in there feeling fine. If you came out of that fight and think, who would you rather be? Would you rather be Skull happy? You do it. You're moving where you want to move. You're moving when you want to move. You're moving wherever you want to move. Because when Skull was against the ropes, it wasn't because Canelo put him there with footwork. Skull went there. He used the ropes to his advantage. He backed himself there. So for me, you've got 12 weeks to study this guy, and then on the night when the fight finishes, you say, oh, well, I don't like fighting fighters like that. That's why. What did you do for 12 weeks? That's the whole point of training camp. It's the whole point. It's the whole point of training camp, though. You can't make excuses saying this guy ran. That's why I couldn't get him. You knew he ran. You knew that's his style. Your footwork needed to be quicker. Your jab needed to be there. You had no footwork and no jab. What did you expect the fight to come? The outcome of the fight. This is why my criticism of Canelo is more towards Canelo for this fight. Whereas I'm not bothered he got the win. I don't really care for that. My criticism is to him because he's that level of fighter where he should be able to adapt. I expect a William Skull to run away from a Canelo. He is he's not at a Canelo's level, so I expect a William Skull to run away from Canelo. I'd run away from Canelo. You know what I mean? I don't expect to, but what I do expect is I expect Canelo to be able to get to him and break him down because he is that good, and that's what people are forgetting. The whole point of levels in boxing. No matter if you are not on my level, no matter what you do, I am going to get to you. That's levels of boxing. And Canelo standing in the middle of the ring, being frustrated, expecting William Skull to stop doing what he does best and what's frustrating him, it is stupid. And I think boxing fans are stupid for expecting that to happen as well.
Yeah. Shall we quickly touch base on the saviour of the weekend?
The saviour of the weekend, yeah, it's the only fight I caught out of that card because I woke up, seen people talking about it, went on Twitter, saw the knockdown. So I was like, as soon as I saw the knockdown, I was like, wow, right, no more. Let me go watch this fight. Let me see what really happened.
Just the knowing getting knocked down. It was a hard knockdown as well. And I won't be funny, like this guy, like he's a monster, and he took a heavy knockdown and he was so composed at getting back up and he knew exactly what to do. I was quite shocked at how well he took the knockdown. And again, he remained calm, collected, he was cool, and his finishing skills were just, he showed Cardano how to finish, because I mean, there was one point where like Cardano's just took it and he just bangs like just three or four backhands in a row and just drops him again. What a fight. It was a great fight. It was a very entertaining fight. And that is what we want to see after a weekend of Eubank and Ben, because that saved the weekend. And it wasn't even nothing to do with the Fatal Fury. It was just a great fight.
The crazy thing is like a lot of Americans, like the hipsters, they don't really care for Inoue. Oh, he fights in Japan. He's in the little weights. We don't care about little weights and all this. So he's not fighting anybody. Who's he beat? And I'm like, this guy is a 2-weight undisputed champion, and you're saying who's he beat just because you haven't gone and done your research, or you don't care about a division. You want to downplay the abilities of these fighters that he's beat. And I think he proved on Sunday night that I think he won over quite a lot of American fans just because that knockdown was heavy as hell. I don't know. His legs must just be like
solid
because that knockdown reminded me of Pacquiao versus Marquez. That's how big the shot was. Like, Inoue came into the shot. He came into the shot, like him and the shot met each other in the middle. And like you said, for him to have the composure to take his time to get up rather than just jumping up and his legs go like jelly. He took his time. He stayed on his knees. He took the count, stood up. They realized that there wasn't much left on the.
You right, mate? You had a Joe Joyce moment.
No, I was reading, saying, yeah, I was reading.
I thought you fucking draft.
Me so excited, and I was reading it, and honestly, it just, I forgot what I was saying. No, but I knew he really showed his class. He really showed his class. He's been dropped a couple of times in a way. I think a lot of people don't like Inoue saying, "Oh well, if any other fighter got dropped twice in the last 2 fights, everyone would be calling him chinny and all this stuff." Listen, it's boxing. You can't swim without getting wet. Sometimes the shot lands and it's a good shot. It's a perfect shot. It drops you. But you can't keep calling someone chinny because once that shot, right, rightfully so, if he got up, he should have been hurt for the next 3 rounds at least.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And for me as well, it's stop calling fighters chinny. Like if you took a fucking punch here and you're meeting it as well, even like AJ when they were calling him chinny against Dubois. I'm not being funny, mate, but Dubois has got sledgehammers for fists. Could you imagine? It'd break your skull. Like these guys, and AJ is getting up. These guys are getting up. Like you shouldn't be calling them. You should be saying that. Wow, what a warrior, what a heart they've got to be able to get up and after a punch like that. That's what they are. They're not chinny. These boxers are not chinny. They take punches every day in the gym, sparring countless amounts of rounds. These guys are not chinny. They just took a good punch that can fucking offset your balance, your tempo, your nerve receptors on the back. It just takes that one punch. So to be able to get up from big shots like that, it's like stop disrespecting them because they're not chinny guys. They are warriors that are getting up and trying to continue.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, Lisa said you would think that the hipsters would enjoy the lower weights, but yeah, they're nothing but haters.
I love the lower weights.
I think for me, it's weird to see them come players like, oh, who's he beat? Like because you decide you don't want to watch somebody because they're a certain size, you are downplaying their ability to box. Like Trull says, he's a monster. He truly is. I think he's shown that. I think you calling someone chinny who gets up, who's gotten up every time he's been hit on the button and either stopped or won the fight, stopped his opponent. So he is truly a monster. I think he how he carries himself, obviously, his culture, the Japanese culture, they're very like quiet anyway. The introvert, it seems. But I know his boxing style is great. I think if we had more fighters that was willing to get in there and do that and put on performances like that, boxing would be in a miles better place. I
think Trill's a little behind it. Roglic. It's Joe Joyce moment.
I believe so.
But it's and Espinosa, fair enough to him as well, because that guy is going to be a fucking problem. He's big for that weight as well. He's
massive
big.
for that weight. Massive for that weight.
Huge.
Like 6 foot something. What the hell?
He's bigger than me, I know that.
Yeah, but that's 5'6".
Oh mate. Give me my other 2 inches at least. It's the only time I ever try and claim another 2 inch. So give me my 2 inches. But yeah, no. Good.
Before we finish, because we've got over anyway, but we've got Ra's comment. Just to touch, we've got no time awareness. Just to touch on what Ra was saying, do you guys like the idea of a public space? Yeah, I do. I think me and Ricky said early in the show, like it felt like they just didn't do the homework properly for this one. The idea was so good that everyone got excited with the idea and just sort of went, right, let's go, everyone go, let's do it. And they thought they'd crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's, but it didn't happen. And at the last minute, obviously, the New York Police Department decided to put sanctions in and said they couldn't do such things. But in the future, if they plan it out properly and fans can be in attendance in public spaces, I think it'd be brilliant. I think it'd be great for the fighters. I think it'd be great for the fans being able to be in an event that you don't have to pay hundreds and hundreds of pounds or dollars or whatever it is to attend. I think if it's a spectacle, I think boxing fans should be given spectacles at times. If we are expected to pay pay-per-views and stuff like that, if we're expected to pay pay-per-views like that, I think some of the shows should be when they are in a public space or you're putting it in a groundbreaking place. It should be out to the public that people can turn up and go. It's one of those things that it's one maybe once in a lifetime. I don't think Times Square will happen again and if it does, it'll be probably a decade or something like that before they try that again.
I don't want to see it at Leeds Fest neither. I don't want to see boxing events at Leeds Fest or any other festivals. We're not hippies. You know.
No. What else? Yeah, Alcatraz. I think they're doing it. Next, they're doing it at Alcatraz. That's the plan.
Danny Prison. But I'd like, before we do end, I would like to shout thank you to everybody that took part in the boxing league. I'd like to shout out to Jack as well, who's not really a boxing fan, but spent quite a long time researching on the boxers and managed to rank up 29 points on the weekend. So again, thank you to everybody that participated in that. Join in. I'm going to put up some bonus fights for people that are catching up and just starting out, so it gives you a chance as well. But join in, like, share, and subscribe, and let's have some fun with it. Eventually, we might even put some prizes in. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We're just trying to get it going, trying to build the community, trying to build a community that enjoys talking about boxing, just in general. Right now, we've got so many boxing shows coming up. It's week after week. We sit here and we've got so much to talk about. It's brilliant, and thanks to you guys in the chat who get involved and ask us questions and give your opinions. It helps us out a lot. It makes the show more interactive. I think the boxing league, maybe one of the prizes we'll do is after maybe a 6 week, 7 week. We'll tally up the points. Like Ricky says, we're going to do extra fights for people who hasn't done who hasn't been there every week. We'll do extra fights for them to take part in, and only them to try and catch up. And maybe the winner has a guest appearance on this show with us. We'll do something for the winner. But it's just building a community. We're enjoying it. I know myself and Ricky's enjoying it. CJ is as well. Hopefully he'll be back on Thursday. Because we missed the free panel.
3 judges,
we need 3 judges. But yeah, once again, 1 second, Libster says, would you guys ever discuss other martial arts MMA, boxing?
We are working on that in the background.
We are talking about that because we know from the Facebook pages and stuff, and who's follows us on Facebook, there is a lot of MMA fans in there and whatnot. So we are seeing if we can do we're talking about it, Libster. So yeah, watch the space. That's all I can say on that one. But yeah, that is it this week from myself and the Rickster. We'll be back on Thursday. Hopefully, CJ will be back. Myself and Ricky has an interview dropping maybe after Thursday's show or Friday morning. Maybe Friday
Some
morning we've
content.
got an interview dropping. We will be posting on our Facebook, on the Twitter, on my Twitter, Ricky's Twitter, CJ's Twitter, and iBoxingHub Twitter to keep you all updated. The website is up and running soon. It will be up and running soon, so we can get Ricky's round by rounds and also his fight breakdowns on there as well. Big things coming for us, iBoxingHub, as a business as well. We're moving things, bro. We're moving. But
Yeah.
thanks for
future.
tuning in yet again. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in a couple of days. Peace.